Good morning, all of you. So, in the previous classes, we discussed about magnetic moment and torque acting on the coil placed in magnetic field, and we discussed a few problems related to that. And so, in that, the remaining that galvanometer is there, the working principle of this moving coil galvanometer. So, let us see that working of this moving coil galvanometer. So, moving coil galvanometer. So, simply we say it as MCG. So in galvanometers, there are different types of galvanometers will be there. In this, in our syllabus, only this moving coil galvanometer is there. So the working principle of this moving coil galvanometer is nothing but torque acting on a current carrying coil placed in magnetic field. So that is the principle of working of moving coil galvanometer here. So the working principle of this moving coil galvanometer is just to mention that torque acting on a current carrying coil placed in magnetic field. That means if you place a coil in a magnetic field, then some torque will act on it. So then that is nothing but our principle of working of this moving coil galvanometer, and we derived an expression for torque, and we discussed some problems also related to that, right? And you know the uses of this galvanometer. Galvanometer is a device used to measure the very small currents, and it also indicates the direction of flow of current, right? So just to mention that sentence also. Galvanometer is a device, sensitive device. Galvanometer is a sensitive device used to measure very small current, and very small current, and it also indicates direction of flow of the current. And it also indicates the direction of flow of the current. And we discussed already, like it can be converted into like ammeter and voltmeter. So that we discussed already, and we solved some problems also related to that, right? So then that is the uses of that galvanometer. Now let us see the construction of this galvanometer here. So that means it consists of some rectangular coil here, which is generally wounded on this cylinder, and here some spring arrangement will be there, and it is suspended by using some wire like this, and it is having some mirror here. So this is the mirror, and this says so generally we use the phosphor bronze wire or quartz wire to suspend that, and this is a mirror here, just to, that is for observing the deflection produced in this coil. And this is a cylindrical arrangement. These are the two magnetic poles here. That means you may consider this one pole as north pole and other is a south pole here, right? That means actually in this reality the arrangement cylinder is supposed to be suspended like this, and here one pole will be there and here one pole will be there, and these are said to be now concave poles here. So these two are said to be concave poles. So concave magnetic poles. And actually if you are considering that, the top view of this arrangement will be there like this. That means if these two are, if you are taking them as a concave poles, then this cylinder cross section, and you may consider like this deflection, that means these wires will be there like this. The top view of this arrangement there, that means the coil arrangement, right? So that means it consists of a rectangular frame, that means rectangular wire frame will be there, on which like some n number of turns will be wounded on this rectangular wire frame, And so now inside that rectangular wire frame, there we place some cylindrical arrangement there, cylindrical soft iron. So this material is the soft iron here. It means you know that generally for the core materials we use that soft iron there, and we will discuss that the uses of that placing the soft iron there. And for everything there will be one reason here, the why we are using concave poles instead of this plain poles, and why we are using only that particular phosphor bronze wire or quartz wire as I said, and why we are placing the soft iron cylinder inside this. So for everything there will be some reason will be there. So this is the construction, and let us see the working of this phosphor bronze wire here. That means that working of this coil. So simply what we can say is whenever some current is allowed to flow through this coil, this rectangular coil, then some torque will be there. Some torque, because it is placed in the magnetic field, and so some torque acts on this coil, and so because of that torque, then what we can say is that undergoes some deflection. This moving coil galvanometer will undergo some deflection, and how much it is deflecting then we can measure by using this lamp and scale arrangement. That mirror will be there, and with the help of this lamp and scale arrangement we measure this deflection, how much deflection is produced in this moving coil galvanometer, right? So that means it will turns until it reaches that equilibrium there. That means when this coil is turning, there will be some twist produced in this suspending wire here. So just you know, when you are turning this wire here, then there will be some, that means a object is suspended by using the wire, and if you are rotating this object here, then automatically some twist will be produced in this wire here. Now this coil will turns until the twist produced in this coil, that means the restoring torque developed in this wire is balanced by the magnetic torque acting on this coil. On this coil, on this current carrying coil, one torque is acting, that is magnetic torque, which we mentioned like MB sin theta in our previous classes. And once this wire is twisted, then there will be some restoring torque will be developed on this. Restoring torque means just to take this wire and just to twist this one end and release it. That means, as I said, if you are taking just a suspend any object here, certain weight, and rotate that object and leave it, then you can observe that the object, once you leave that object, then the object starts rotating backward direction here, and so that the twist untwisting of this wire will takes place there. So this wire will comes back to its normal state. That is because of why it is coming back, means some restoring torque will be developed in this wire here, so that brings the object in back, that turns the object in backward direction here. So similarly here, once the torque is acting, magnetic torque is acting, it will start turning this coil, and so some restoring torque will be developed inside that coil, inside that phosphor bronze wire. So this coil will rotates until this magnetic torque is balanced by this restoring torque there, right? So that is a principle, and so then by balancing those two torques we can derive an expression for this current. That is the working of this moving coil galvanometer. Now let us come back to this the detailed reasons of this, why we are using this concave poles and why we are using this phosphor bronze wire and why we are placing this soft iron, all this. Now suppose we know if instead of this concave poles, if I am using a plain poles, plain magnetic poles like this. So let us see what will happen and what's the problem with this. So if I am taking this north pole and south pole like this, I am taking some plain poles here. So here the the magnetic field lines will be there like this. North pole, from north pole to south pole, these magnetic field lines will be there. Now suppose if I am placing some coil here, the current carrying coil is placed inside this, right? Now initially let us take the current carrying coil is there like this, rectangular current carrying coil is placed like this. Now once this coil is placed like this and current is allowed to pass through this, maximum torque acts on this, because our torque equation is nothing but torque, what we mentioned is MB sin theta, right? So that is our torque expression here. So once if the coil is in this position, then maximum torque acts on this, because our M bar will be there. Suppose if, as I mentioned, the current is taken like this, then M bar will be into the plane, magnetic moment, and B bar is like this. So M bar and B bar are perpendicular to each other, maximum torque acts on this. And so due to that, this coil will start turning like this. So that means whatever the in this plane, initially the coil is in this plane, now it starts turning like this. Once it starts turning like this, the angle between M bar and B bar goes on decreasing, right? Or it is changing. So when this M bar angle between M bar and B bar is changing, then this torque also will changes here. That means it reduces from this maximum value. The torque is maximum only when this theta is equal to 90 degrees, which is acting down. Initially the maximum torque is acting, and so now once the coil starts rotating, then variable torque will act here. That means the theta value continuously changing, and so torque acting on this will become variable. So that maximum torque won't act on this coil continuously. So but our requirement is maximum torque should act on this coil here. The maximum torque acts on this coil. We should make an arrangement like that so that we can measure that current easily. If continuous varying torque is acting, then we can't measure accurately that current passing through that wire. And so further, to maintain the constant torque, what we will do is we will use this concave shaped poles. So that means if you are using this concave shaped poles, the advantage of this concave shaped poles is they will always produce this magnetic field. That means which we call radial magnetic field. The magnetic field lines will be now directed like this. The magnetic field lines are directed like this. This we call radial magnetic field. That means it produces some radial magnetic field here. So when radial magnetic field is produced here, the advantage of this radial magnetic field is, so always the torque acting on the coil will be maximum only, MB you will get always, because now suppose initially if I am taking the coil is in this position, this is a cross section view. Cross section view means top view. When you are observing the total arrangement from the top, you will observe like this. You will see like this. That's what I am drawing here. So that means now initially again let us consider this coil is like this, and so that maximum torque acts on this, the coil start turning. So now this coil turns like this to this position. Suppose if it is turning here, I am assuming like this, the coil is turning like this. These are the number of wires. We take some n number of wires are connected in that, so that I am representing those n number of wires there, right? And so now from this position, now the coil is slowly turned to this position here. Then even then, this component of magnetic field, now this component of magnetic field is parallel to this plane here. Parallel to the plane means, field is parallel to the plane means angle between M bar and B bar will be 90 degrees, because M bar is perpendicular to that plane here. So that means now in this position also maximum torque will act on this because of this component of this field here. The remaining fields will cancel here. The component which is in which it lies, these lines are, we should represent like this. If this is the north pole, if I consider, and this is the south pole, then we should represent these field lines like this. Towards the south pole we should represent. So right, and so now here this component of this field will produces the maximum torque here. Then torque due to remaining components of the field will be cancelled. So only this component will produces the maximum field there. So like that, wherever this coil is, it may turn any angle, then maximum, always the maximum and constant torque acts on this. So that the torque acting on this, we can write it as maximum torque acts on this, and it will be MB, and which is a constant value. So that is the advantage of having poles. So concave shaped poles, the produces the, you can mention that simply, the use of radial concave shaped poles is to produce the radial field, due to which the torque acting on the coil will become constant maximum, and it is a constant value, right? That is the use of that. And then next, the use of placing the soft iron material here. The use of placing the soft iron material is, the B acting on this coil should be the maximum magnetic field. So maximum magnetic field should act on the coil. So maximum magnetic field means, you know about this permeability, right? In magnetic field, that means in expressions, in some of those expressions we will write like magnetic field expressions like mu naught. In electrostatics we mention like such a similar constant epsilon naught, that is permittivity, and in magnetism we will use this mu naught here, permeability of the free space, and that mu represent permeability of any medium. So the significance of that permeability is, it indicates the ability of the medium to allow the lines of force or the field lines to pass through it. If mu naught value or the mu value is high, then that indicates that medium can allow the more number of lines to pass through it. Suppose if you are taking that iron or soft iron, if you are taking for example, then its permeability value will be very high when compared to that of air medium, right? The permeability of the soft iron is very high when compared to that of air medium. Then that indicates the iron, when compared to that air medium, the iron medium will allow the more number of field lines to pass through that. When it is allowing the more number of field lines to pass through it, suppose here I am placing some soft iron. Initially when nothing is placed, as we mentioned in the previous diagram, the field lines are parallel to each other. The field lines are parallel to each other means that indicates the uniform field will be there. Almost that uniform field will be created there, right? Now here what I am taking is, here I am placing a soft iron material here. So a small block of the soft iron material is placed here and the remaining area is there. So then what will happen is, there will be some disturbance in this medium here. That means the field lines will start yellow. That means they are prefer to pass through this medium here. These field lines prefer to pass through this medium when compared to this air medium here. So that means when the field lines were prefer to pass through that medium, then automatically the maximum field will be concentrated here. The maximum magnetic field will be concentrated in that region. And so that similarly here, when you are placing the soft iron inside this coil, then it will allows the more number of lines of force to pass through the coil, and so that the magnetic field acting on this coil will increase. So there is a reason why we are using this soft iron in this coil. So right, mention that point also. That means the detailed construction and everything, working principles and everything will be there in textbook. You can go through that. Just I am saying some important points related to that. I am not giving the detailed notes for this. You can go through the textbook for the detailed working principle and the construction of this going coil galvanometer. I am saying what are the important points are required for the competitive point of view. I am saying those points. So then soft iron, that means the role of the soft iron placed in the coil. The soft iron placed inside the coil, the soft iron cylinder placed inside the coil, the soft iron cylinder placed inside the coil will increases the magnetic field, acting on the coil, and so torque acting on the coil becomes maximum, and next, that is phosphor bronze wire. And as I said, this phosphor bronze wire means it should rotate. That means when the coil is turning, then the twist will be produced in that wire and it should come back here. That means the rigidity modulus of this wire should be very high. The rigidity modulus of the wire should be very high and it should not elongate. That means this length of the wire should not change, because if it is changing, the position of the coil is changing, right? They even suppose after 1 month of this construction of the device, or 6 months or 1 year, if the elongation is produced in this wire, then the position of the coil will changes and so total experimental setup will be disturbed there. And so because of that reason, the elongation produced in this wire must be as minimum as possible, or it should be negligible. And that means its Young's modulus should be very high. If Young's modulus is very high, then elongation produced is very small. That in the previous first year we discussed like elasticity. When we were discussing about elasticity, we compared the Young's modulus of iron and then rubber, which is having more Young's modulus. We say iron is having more Young's modulus when compared to that of rubber. So because of the same reason. And so that means here also, that means this Young's modulus of this material should be very high, so that the elongation produced in that material will be negligible. And then at the same time, rigidity modulus should be very high, so that the wire can be twisted easily and it should come back to its original position there. And so because of that reason, it should have that property there. Its Young's modulus should be very high and rigidity modulus should be very low. And so this quartz or phosphor bronze is having such a property, and so that we will use that material there. So mention that point also there. To suspend the coil, we use To suspend the coil, we use quartz or phosphor bronze wire because the wire should possess high Young's modulus and a low rigidity modulus values. The above two materials have these properties. And next there we use a mirror attached to the suspending wire. We use a small mirror attached to the suspending wire to measure the deflection produced in the coil. By using lamp and scale arrangement. That working of lamp and scale arrangement is not required for us. Just it will be like initially on a large scale lamp will be fixed there, so that this light will be reflecting, that means light will incident on the mirror there initially. So then reflected light from that mirror also incident on the same scale here. And so the arrangement of this lamp and scale arrangement, here light will be fixed above the scale and there will be a long scale will be there here in lamp and scale arrangement means. So when we focus this light onto this mirror, then reflected light will reach us here just when there is no deflection. And once if any deflection is there, then reflected light will reach on the scale at some other point. So just by measuring this distance here, suppose if somewhere it is reaching this reflected light here, so by measuring this distance and the distance of the mirror from this lamp, we can estimate how much angle it is turning there by measuring those two distances. And so that is such a lamp and scale arrangement will be like that, such an arrangement will be there. So right, so that is a working of this working principle of, that means construction and important points regarding the construction of this moving coil galvanometer here. And this below this a spring arrangement will be there, that is to come back to the coil to its original position, right? So that is that spring arrangement will be there like that. And now let us see the equations related to this here. So the magnetic torque acting on the coil is nothing but we call the deflecting torque. So the deflecting torque acting on it is equal to MB sin 90. And so that M is nothing but NIA. If n number of turns are there, so NIA into B. So this is the deflecting torque here. Let's suppose equation 1. Just we are using that M is equal to NIA. And next the restoring torque. Restoring torque acting on it. So tau restoring is equal to C theta we can write, where theta is the angle of deflection and C is called couple per unit twist, where C is couple per unit twist, and theta is angle of deflection of coil, right? And this couple per unit twist is a constant for a given wire. That depends on the property. Couple per unit twist means, suppose if you are taking a wire and generally if you are turning this, if you want to twist this wire here, generally we need to apply the couple. Couple means, two forces we need to apply. That means with the, suppose if you are turning like this, with the upper finger we are applying force in one direction and with the lower finger we are applying force in opposite direction there, so that the twisting of this wire will take place. Now the couple per unit twist means to turn this end, that means this wire, through an angle of 1 degree, how much couple we need to apply. That amount of couple is nothing but we call couple per unit of test. That is a different for different materials, right? So as I said, for phosphor bronze, you will get one wire, some constant C value, and if you are taking copper wire, you will get another C value, and if you are taking any another iron wire, you will get another values there, right? So that means that is a constant for a given wire. If you want to change that C value, you need to change that wire here. So otherwise you can't change that C value there. So that is a constant for the given wire. And it depends on many factors like rigidity modulus and the dimensions of the wire. So that means simply you need to remember C is constant for a given wire. If you want to change the C value, you need to replace that given wire with another wire. We need to change that wire. So now in equilibrium, this deflecting torque is equal to the restoring torque, and therefore this NIA into B is equal to C theta we can write. So we need our current expression here, how much current is flowing here. So therefore this I is equal to C by BAN into theta, right? So that C by BAN is a constant. So that is the expression for this current flowing through this wire here. So for a given galvanometer, that C by BAN is a constant value. C is couple per unit length, B is magnetic field applied, and A is area of the coil, and N is number of turns. And so that C by BAN is a constant, so that we can write this expression as I is proportional to this theta we can write here. This current is directly proportional to the deflection produced there. So this is expression for this current flowing through this galvanometer here. So that means just we need to measure the deflection here. So generally for this deflection, just by measuring the deflection, you can identify how much current is flowing through that. So that we can say that current is passing through this coil is directly proportional to the deflection. If you are increasing the double, the deflection will be doubled. So for a given galvanometer, if you double the current, then deflection will also be gets doubled there. So they are directly proportional to each other, right? So that is the expression for this current, and this expression for this that means a current passing through the galvanometer. So just you need to find the deflection, how much deflection is produced in the coil. By measuring the deflection, you can calculate this current flow into this coil here. And next in this we will define some quantities here like current sensitivity and voltage sensitivity. And here actually that constant C by BN is nothing but we called figure of merit here. So first write that one, some definitions related to that. So figure of merit, so it is defined as current per unit deflection. That means therefore this figure of merit can be defined as figure of merit is equal to I by theta. So that means now it is nothing but we can define it as C by BAN. So this is the simple definition of this figure of merit, and which you can write it as the unit ampere per division or ampere per radian. That means or degrees, whatever it is. Divisions you may express, or deflections you may express, or radians you may express there. So that means that current per unit deflection is nothing but, that means to produce one division deflection, how much current is required. That is nothing but we called figure of merit here, and that figure of merit is given by C by BAN, right? And so now the reciprocal of this is nothing but we call current sensitivity here. Current sensitivity. And so therefore here the current sensitivity is defined as current sensitivity so So Cs is equal to theta by I, the reciprocal of this figure of merit here. So that's theta by I means we can write this as VAN by C. So that is our current sensitivity expression here. So write the definition here. So this is deflection per unit, that means current per unit deflection. Now it is deflection per unit current. Just they are reciprocals there, right? So write the first definition. Current sensitivity. Current sensitivity of a galvanometer is defined as deflection per unit current. Current sensitivity is a reciprocal of figure of merit. And then note these expressions there. And so now here the current sensitivity can be increased by increasing the B value, by increasing A value and N value, and by decreasing the C value, right? So mention that proportionality there. So therefore this current sensitivity Cs is directly proportional to B, and is directly proportional to A, and is directly proportional to N, and is inversely proportional to the C here, right? So that means current sensitivity can be increased. Just mention that current sensitivity can be increased by increasing the magnetic field, by increasing area of the coil, next, by increasing the number of turns, or by decreasing couple per unit twist of the wire, See, out of all these, the best way to increase the current sensitivity is nothing but by increasing the number of turns there. That is the easiest and the best way to increase the number of turns, to increase the current sensitivity here. The unit of this current sensitivity means you may write it as opposite to that of this, division per ampere, or you can write this as radian per ampere, right? So generally we express the divisions per amperes there. So now here that current sensitivity, as I said, the best way is to increase the number of turns. That means to increase the B value, what we should do is, we are already placing a soft iron material inside that coil as a core, and so the another way, that means if you want to further increase that B value, just we need to change the poles, magnetic poles, what we mentioned, the concave poles, the N pole and the S pole, north pole and south pole. You need to replace them. We need to take some strong magnetic poles, right? So that is not easy for a given device. That means you want to change the total operators there. And next, if you want to increase the area of the coil, if you are increasing the area of the coil, then generally there the disadvantage is the size of the operators will increase, and at the same time by increasing this area of the coil, the moment of inertia of the coil also will increase there. So the moment of inertia will also play some important role in that. Do you know the moment of inertia? Whether the object can rotate freely or not, that depends on the moment of inertia. If it is having high moment of inertia, then it is difficult to rotate that object, right? So that means the moment of inertia of the operators, that means the coil will changes, that will increase, and the size of the operators also will increase, which is not desired for us. And the next one is, if you want to change the C value, that means if you want to decrease the C value, as I said in the beginning, we need to change the wire only. We need to take that wire and we need to remove that wire, and we need to connect the another wire. That is also the another process will be involved. That means we need to do some changes in the operators itself. But whereas the number of turns you can change easily there. In the operators, the number of change, if you are observing that practical that like a galvanometer, there will be just some connection points will be there. If you are connecting at different points, automatically the number of turns will changes in that coil. So the number of turns, by increasing the number of turns, almost there is no change in the shape of the shape of the coil, size of the operators, and there is no much change in the moment of inertia of the coil also. That is negligible. And so that the best way is nothing but we said number of turns. By increasing the number of turns, we can increase this current sensitivity of the galvanometer. And next, similarly, we define this voltage sensitivity here. Voltage sensitivity. So this voltage sensitivity is defined as similarly that deflection per unit voltage. Voltage sensitivity so this voltage sensitivity is defined as deflection per unit voltage, right? Therefore, this voltage sensitivity is deflection per I into R you can write. So now on that R is V is equal to IR formula we are writing here, or sometimes now it can also be defined as the ratio of current sensitivity to resistance of this galvanometer. That R is nothing but the resistance of the galvanometer, and sometimes or in some expressions or in some books that will be represented with the G, the resistance of the total coil or the resistance of the total operators. That is the meaning of that R there. And therefore from this what we can write is simply it is current sensitivity is nothing but BAN by C into R. So that is our current voltage sensitivity formula here. The ratio of current sensitivity to resistance, that we call simply that voltage sensitivity, right? So that is current sensitivity and voltage sensitivity of this moving coil galvanometer here. So here just to mention that mention a note here about this increasing the number of turns, one note will be there here. If current sensitivity is doubled, by doubling the number of turns, in the coil, means it is clear that if number of turns are doubled, then current sensitivity will get doubled there. So now we are considering such a change here. Current sensitivity is doubled by doubling the number of turns. Then voltage sensitivity remains constant. Voltage sensitivity remains constant because when we double the number of turns, resistance of the galvanometer, resistance of the coil also gets doubled. That means see this, number of turns if you are increasing means the wire length of the wire is getting doubled here. That means number of turns are increased means length of the wire gets doubled. What we are using previously and now. When the length of the wire gets doubled, the resistance of the wire also gets doubled here. That means that instead of R, then we need to write 2R. Then here 2N you will get and here 2R you will get. And so the 2 and 2 will be cancelled, the voltage sensitivity will remain same here. That means if you are increasing the current sensitivity by increasing the number of turns, then voltage sensitivity remains constant. So you may mention that point finally there. Therefore, if we increase current sensitivity, by increasing number of turns, then voltage sensitivity of the galvanometer, remains constant. Voltage sensitivity of the galvanometer remains constant. Right? So based on this, a simple problems will be there if you are based on directly this theta by I or and here you may also mention one more point here. That means if this current sensitivity is more, then what does it indicate is such a device will be more accurate. That gives more accurate values there, or we can say it is more precise device if this current sensitivity is more. That means simply here. So for one division, if we need that 1 milliampere current here. So one division 1 milliampere current is required in one galvanometer. So for example, whereas in another device for one division, suppose that 0.5 milliampere current is required. That means to deflect this, that means if you are measuring this divisions here, deflection, suppose say this is the 0 and this is the first division in that. In one galvanometer, the first division indicates 1 milliampere and in another galvanometer it indicates only 0.5 milliamperes. Then which is said to be more accurate device or which is said to be more sensitive device? So sensitive device is nothing but this one. That means for 0.5 milliampere it is showing one division, means for in this device if you are taking for example 1 milliampere current is flowing here, then it shows the two divisions deflection here. That means for a small current if it is showing large deflection, then it is said to be the more sensitive device. So just mention that sentence also. If the given galvanometer shows more deflection for small current, then it is said to be more sensitive, when compared to the other devices, other galvanometers, when compared to the other galvanometers. And next here, in this the conversion of galvanometer into voltmeter and ammeter we discussed already there. And again in this topic also, and you solve some problems also based on that. And again problems will be there based on that concept also. I briefly explained that you have to practice those problems based on that also, because you already solved those problems there. In this topic also those problems will be there. So practice them. Conversion of galvanometer into ammeter. Conversion of galvanometer into ammeter. So how to convert this? So simply we need to connect a small resistance in parallel. A small resistance called shunt resistance is to be connected in parallel with this galvanometer. So then this arrangement will give us, that means that will behave like an ammeter here. So this is a conversion here. So just you may mention that now this total arrangement will act as an ammeter. Galvanometer can be converted into ammeter by connecting a small resistance called shunt, in parallel with the galvanometer. So then simply the principle of deriving that shunt resistance required is these two are parallel. You can balance those potential difference there. So I minus Ig into S is equal to, we can write this as Ig into G. Therefore our S value we required here. So Ig into G by I minus Ig. And this generally we express like, we express the same expression as G by I by Ig minus 1. So this is a way of expressing this shunt resistance formula here. So generally we express the shunt resistance formula like this. So then the S is equal to I by Ig minus 1. So I is current to be measured or the range of the ammeter required range, and Ig is a full scale deflection current. So we mention that where I is range of the ammeter required. Range of ammeter required means that is nothing but maximum current to be measured. And Ig is the full scale deflection current. Or maximum current that can pass through the galvanometer. that can pass through the galvanometer. And in this, the total resistance of the ammeter means G into S by G plus S we need to write here. So that means then the resistance of ammeter is equal to G into S by G plus S. So it is the resistance of this ammeter here, right? And so next here, conversion of galvanometer into voltmeter. Conversion of galvanometer into voltmeter. So just for this, voltmeter should possess a very high resistance, and so that we should connect a high resistance in series with this galvanometer here. So a high resistance is connected in series with it, and so that this total arrangement will behave like a voltmeter here. Suppose between these two points we need to measure this potential difference here. Suppose V is the potential difference to be measured, and then Ig is the current flowing through this, and so that now this arrangement, this G and R arrangement will behave like a voltmeter here. Right? And so then V is the potential difference to be measured. So when V is the potential difference to be measured, then we can write this as V is equal to G plus R into Ig. So therefore that R value we need to write here in this. So V by Ig minus G. So this is the resistance to be connected there. So just mention that a galvanometer can be converted into voltmeter. A galvanometer can be converted into voltmeter by connecting a high resistance in series with it. A high resistance in series with it. So mention that this expression gives the expression for this R required to convert the galvanometer into a voltmeter of range V. So V is the range of the voltmeter and Ig is the maximum deflection current or full scale deflection current, and G is the internal resistance of the galvanometer, or simply the resistance of the galvanometer here, right? So that is that conversions of galvanometer into voltmeter and ammeter we discussed already, and you solved already some problems based on that. So again in this problem solve the remaining problems based on this, right? And in this galvanometer actually this one more method is there, experimental method, half spell deflection method, to find the resistances there. So now I will explain that method. Galvanometer by this half deflection method. So actually in laboratory it will be there, even practical will be there based on this. So just there will be in objective point of view also there will be some questions based on this. And now let us see how to find this resistance of the galvanometer by half deflection method. So that means simply here I am taking this is L of EMF E here, it is connected negligible internal resistance I am measuring, and is connected to some, this is will be high resistance, and then this galvanometer here, and two switches over there, and a resistance is connected in parallel with that. I am assuming that as S. So initial our experimental procedure is we close this K1 here, and this K2 will be still open, so that this resistance is not included in that circuit. So then what will happen is some current is flowing through that, so that you will get some galvanometer deflection there. Suppose let Ig be the galvanometer deflection, that means current in that galvanometer. Sorry, next we select the suitable resistance here, and we connect that suitable resistance such that the current in this galvanometer is exactly half of that previous method, or previously whatever the deflection is there, so the deflection will be reduced to half. Suppose initially some 20 divisions deflection is showing in the galvanometer in the experiment. Now the deflection should fall to 40 10 divisions there. So we need to select this R value like that. So that means deflection is reduced to half, means as we discussed already I is proportional to theta, current also should be reduced to half, and so then current passing through this will be Ig by 2 we need to write here, right? So that is a experimental procedure what we need to write here. So I will consider that as a two cases, like when K2 is closed here. That means first case is case 1 I am taking here. When K1 is closed and K2 is open. So then current flowing through this will be there, like suppose Ig I am taking here. The current flowing through this will be not included, then I am writing this current flowing through the galvanometer. So Ig is equal to what we can write is E by R plus G. Let's suppose this is our equation 1. Simply that is experiment equation here. Next case 2. When K1 and K2 are closed. So when both are closed, then what we can write is the current passing through this should be reduced to half here. So then total, that means this current is reduced to half. We need to select this R value like that, this S value like that. And the total, as the total resistance in the circuit is changing, the total current in the circuit may change here. Like suppose this total current, now I am assuming as some I here. And so that the current flowing through this will be now I minus Ig by 2. That will be the current flowing through this, this S value here, right? And so now you can balance the potential difference here. So we should connect S value there. Therefore, what we can write is Ig by 2 into G. This is equal to I minus Ig by 2 into S. So right. And so now let us write this I value and Ig value. Let us substitute those values, and you will get simply expression for this G here. Ig value I am substituting from this E by 2 into R plus G into G. That means Ig is only this value. The G by 2 is there here, that I am writing here. Next I value. I is nothing but total current flowing to this circuit here, or current drawn from the cell. So current drawn from the cell we can write as total EMF by total resistance. Total resistance is nothing but R plus, these two are in parallel. So I can write this total resistance as R plus G into S by G plus S minus again Ig by 2. So Ig by 2 means we can write this as E into G by 2 into R plus G into S. Now say this, simplify this equation here. Just we are substituting Ig value from this and I of this circuit here, total current passing through this circuit, and you can cancel the E term here, so that this E term can be cancelled, and write the term this term this side, so that you can write this as G plus S by 2 into R plus G, right? And so now here you can take LCM here. If you are taking LCM, like S into G plus S by R of G plus S plus GS, right? So that now this G plus S total term can be cancelled on both sides. Now cross multiply and then simplify this. So this equation we can write it as if you are cross multiplying this, RG plus RS plus GS is equal to, and multiply these two terms here, 2RS plus 2GS, and write all the G terms on one side. And so let us simplify that equation here. I am taking that G term common. So then here R plus S minus 2S is equal to, and this term you can write this side, so that you will get RS here, 2RS minus RS. Therefore our G expression is nothing but R into S by R minus S. So just by using this equation, now we can find the deflection, that means that resistance of this galvanometer here. So there will be numericals for us based on this. So that is actually an experimental procedure here. We select some suitable R value, so that the deflection of this galvanometer is falls to half of the previous value. And so now by using that, by selecting that suitable resistance here, how much resistance in experiment, we need to calculate, we need to verify that, we need to verify how much resistance we need to connect here, so that the deflection is falls to half of the previous value. So just after finding that S value, after selecting that S value, the resistance of the galvanometer can be calculated by using this equation here, R into S by R minus S, where R is a high resistance connected in series in that circuit, or with the series with the galvanometer there, and S is the resistance connected in parallel with that galvanometer, right? So that is the working of this galvanometer and some important cases related to this galvanometer here. So practice all the problems based on this galvanometer, and in the next class I will explain this magnetic effects of the current, or which we also call it as source of magnetic field, right? Thank you.